All right, ladies and gentlemen, and here we go with another edition of P.S. I Love Me, sponsored by LMC Radio, where loyalty means everything, and of course, Olmiga Enterprises with your host, Olmiga. So how are we doing, everybody? It's been a tough struggle for some of the people that are closest to me recently. Everybody's having some type of issues with extracurricular things that they're not used to for some reason. Again, we'll talk about some of these issues, but today's conversation is going to be a little bit about perseverance and patience, mostly patience. I was going to go into relationships a little bit deeper, but I don't believe that we're ready to go into relationships because we could be talking about this forever. And I don't want anyone to get half of the story, if you understand what I'm talking about. I don't want anyone to lose out on something that they're not going to build on. So I try to give as much information, concentrated as much as possible during these segments so that you're not subjective to watch these things consecutively. Although I prefer that you do that and get a different, perspective on how we do things. It is what it is. DJ T-Dog, what's up, T-Dog? I see you over there on Twitch. We are live on Twitch. We are live on YouTube. Yes, we are. And we are trying to bring you relevant information to everyday situations. I don't know if you noticed this. I am not wearing the suit and the tie today or whatever the case may be. I got my Olmiga stuff right here and on my hat. You can find this on the face of my YouTube channel where we have a display, and you could be a supporter and you could be part of this program. If I ever see anyone in the streets wearing something like this, I will give you a prize, and it won't be a cheap one. It will probably be a monetary figure, or will probably be an invitation to something exclusive, tickets to something interesting. But if I see anyone wearing this like this, and you can let me know where you at, I'll come by and see if you rocking, the supportive clothes that we got here today. So without further ado, please, let's get into this because it's so important what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about patience. First and foremost, patience is a skill. It's a virtue. It is something that you have to work on. People are not born with patience. Patience has to be tested. It is sort of like pain. You have to feel pain in order to understand what things are. In order to grow, in order to deal with fear, in order to move forward, you have to have some type of pain in your life. So learning how to be patient is extremely painful, more painful for some than others. Let's look up the word patience. Let's do that. You know how we always do it. Patience. And as we look up this word, what does it say here? The capacity to accept or tolerate delay, trouble, or suffering without getting angry or upset. So think about what I'm telling you here. Think about what I'm telling you here. If a word that is used so much, in everyday language, which is patience, have some patience. Something that we take for granted and is a very common word. So think about what I'm telling you. The capacity to accept or tolerate delay, trouble, or suffering without getting angry or upset. So think about, what does it mean to have patience? So it's the ability, honestly, patience is the ability not to get upset or quick or fragile, or how can I say this? Your tolerance level is very short. Your fuse is very short. Like the opposite of patience is someone who doesn't have the ability to control themselves. So I believe that patience has a lot to do with emotional intelligence. I believe that patience has a lot to do with perseverance. If you care about someone, you might have a little bit more patience with this person. Now, if you have a history with someone and they have violated your patience, they have violated your trust, if they do not respect you, then you're going to have a lot less patience with this person than anybody else. If you have a history with someone and someone is stuck in the past, you got to understand that whatever new skills that you develop, especially patience, it will not recognize to the other person because the other person is stuck in today or stuck in the past. Now, I've always tell people my new thing this year is if we're not talking about the future or we're not talking about growth, then we're not talking. You're not interesting to me. Call it the way you want to call it, see it the way you see it. There are no issues that I have not addressed in my life. There is nothing that no stone was never unturned. You understand? We turned every stone in my life, every anger issue that I had, every control issue that I had. I was called empathetic, but how could I be empathetic when I love helping people? I love being there for people. I like to make a difference in people's lives without asking them for nothing in return. I try to get people to turn into a regimen, a consistency where they can show themselves a positive pattern instead of a negative pattern to fall under. When you do negativity, it's a spell that you're putting yourself under, and it's yourself that's doing it to you, you know. But the same way that you act consistent with positive things, you speak positively, you write positively, you write down your ideas. Just this weekend alone, I was talking to someone who I consider successful, and I still had to remind them, hey, you have a lot of ideas because you finished some projects, and now you're going back into talking again. Write these things down, put them into manifestation. The strategy starts when you start writing something down. You can solve a problem. The beginning of solving a problem is if you can write it and express it clearly on paper. If you can take a problem and write it down and say, I wrote down the problem, you're halfway there because you understand the problem. So then the solution must come from what you felt when you were writing this. Pay attention to how you felt when you wrote this. Keep that and understand where's the problem, because there might be certain words in there. It may not be the whole sentence. It may not be the whole problem. It may not be exactly what you're thinking. No, don't ever underestimate, especially if somebody else is involved with the situation. You got to understand that we don't control what they think. We don't control what they say. We don't control anything, especially their feelings. You could only control your thoughts and your behavior. You cannot control what you feel. You can try to have a consensus with yourself and say, hey, you know what? That feeling is going to a place where I don't need it to be. But at the same time, you have to understand what powers that be. Whenever you feel something, nobody can tell you that you don't feel like that. Maybe someone can tell you, you know, you shouldn't feel like that. And we all know that you shouldn't feel a certain way. Good evening, everyone. Hey, JT, how you doing? You know, you got to understand what I'm trying to tell you here. Decisions, awareness, and all the topics that we talked about thus far, there's a difference here. When you involve somebody else in any of these things, you're taking away from what you owe to yourself. Remember that this is a show called P.S. I Love Me. And this is not a show to be anal or to be cocky or to isolate yourself from the entire world forever. You have to do that at a certain point. You have to isolate yourself from the world. And that's when you realize that people miss you. You have to utilize that power by not being available for everyone, because those are the expectations that you are setting forth. When you're the type of person that is there and available, your availability is very important. And that triggers things that lessen the value and the strength you put towards patience. Remember, we're talking about patience here, and we looked up the word. Let's go back to the beginning where I shared this thing. I'll do it one more time. This is incredible. You know, the capacity to accept or tolerate delay, trouble, or suffering without getting angry or upset. So think about what I'm trying to tell you. Like this thing right here, patience, I've never really related it directly towards something else. I thought patience was, I mean, I understand the components of the mental in that, but what I'm trying to say is patience, I relate more to patience when you're, let's say you're hunting and you have to be quiet, or you have to learn how to walk. I mean, you have to crawl before you walk. Patience, you know, you have to believe in the process. You know, that's patience. You have to hold yourself from speaking, which is prudence, taking those 2 seconds. So I guess prudence and patience go hand in hand. But again, I didn't make a direct correlation with patience and anger. And now that I'm reading the word patience, because I'm sure I looked it up before, but now that I'm actually understanding it and looking at it at face value, I'm looking at this as acceptance. So is when we talked about it is what it is, which was another topic, are we talking about patience? When you say it is what it is acceptance more than anything else. Be careful with the people that tell you it is what it is, because those people have a high level of intelligence, of accepting things and knowing when something cannot be altered, or knowing when something it's time to let go of the innovation and the tweaking and adding to something. It's time to leave it at whatever face value it is and stop looking for another worth to it. Some things are what they are. It is what it is something that some things are what they are, and that's all they're ever going to be. And you have to learn when to accept these things. We can touch a little bit about relationships because it's all part of patience. Without patience, it'll be hard to deal with relationships. Not all relationships, but you got to understand something about relationships. If you bring some weight to the table, and the other person brings weight to the table, now you have two people that have weight. And what I mean by weight is there are things you haven't handled. There are still issues from the past that you're still dealing with. There's no closure in some of the things. Sometimes you meet someone in your life that can help you get closure and be who you need to be. But you got to understand that if that's what you're looking for, and you're also into being in a relationship, if you need closure, you have to understand and be aware of these things. If you need closure, hey, hello everybody. If you need closure for something, I think it's one of the most selfish things that you can do is to go into a relationship or start seeing someone and forget about the fact of all the flaws that you have. You forget about all the past, because this person that you met, especially somebody new, they help you forget about the past. That's no good either, because all you're doing is burying it, sweeping it under the rug and isolating it, putting it in the back of your mind until other things or things become a little bit difficult. And then the way you handle difficulty in this new relationship is what's going to make or break this relationship. Now, that's in a partner series, because you got to understand that there's different levels of relationships. All relationships will work with the same ideals and the same strategy that I put forth. Every relationship that I'm in, whether it's with my daughter, my son, my sister, my brother, my mother, my significant other, my mate, whatever the case may be, they will all work the same if you keep the same ideal, which is, learn how to coexist, and understand that there's no one thing. People keep saying the same thing. There's one thing that makes a relationship work, and that's communication. No. Trust. No. Honesty. No, it is not one thing. But instead of saying you're wrong, learn how to accept what they have and teach them how to be complete. Stop trying to tell people you're wrong, because that is what brings out the worst in them. It's a trigger to be defensive. Don't put people on the defensive. Accept what they answer. You be like, yeah, but, not even yeah, but, hey, that all those components are important. Communication, trust, honesty, loyalty, effort, understanding, growth, patience. All those things are important. Is there one thing that is more important than another? Some things carry a lot more weight. On the higher ends, I believe communication, trust, loyalty, those are on the top tier. And then all the second tiers, like the B tiers and the C tiers, they are just as important because it shows steadiness and growth. But this all comes from the foundation. You know what I'm saying? Right, nothing is black and white because you're dealing with another person. Absolutely, that's a good point. Nothing is black and white because that's what makes us different. Is that we have a lot of similarities as humans, but your personal characteristics, your brain and your heart and your experience, which is your past, makes a portfolio. And that is your mental and your outlook and your perception of life. So you have to understand your own portfolio. Like people get into a relationship fast because they're lonely. People get into a relationship because they're into whatever it is that they see. They don't get to know a person. They don't ask the right questions until it's too late. Months down the road, you're into it, you like what you see, and then things start changing. Why? Because you didn't build a good foundation. You're being a little bit absent-minded about the right questions that you're supposed to ask going forward in a new relationship. Now, let's say you're in a relationship that's broken. I don't think that you can fix a broken relationship. You can fix a relationship that has flaws. You can fix a relationship that has difficulties, that you clash. But when something is broken, usually it's because one of the people in that relationship is broken. You cannot fix that. You cannot pick up the pieces. This is something that an individual has to do. And this person might need time to heal. This person might need some isolation to, just get everybody away from them. They might need the support of family members, but not the type of family members that are going to sugarcoat everything. Not the type of family members that are going to make you feel better for the moment, because all you're doing is putting a Band-Aid. The sooner you start dealing with your own mental and physical portfolio, let's not forget about that. You have your mental portfolio, which is, if you want to put it in a more easier context to listen to, think about this. Your mental portfolio is your past, your present, and your future. If you don't talk about the future and you don't focus on goals and set strategies, then you're only living a two-dimensional portfolio. You don't have the future in mind. And I'll tell you this much, a high percentage of people that don't think about the future is because they're stuck in the past. So the present is not good either. Living in the present is good to a certain moment. People say you got to live your life like it's your last. And then other people say you're not promised tomorrow, which is kind of the same thing. But that doesn't mean that we live our life irresponsibly or unaccountable for the things that we do. You have to be accountable for the things you've done and take responsibility the right way before it happens. Stop taking on jobs. Stop taking on responsibilities that are not yours. Stop adding stress to your life. When it's time to love yourself, you may have to just push everybody out of your life, because you do not need a second conscious. You do not need a second subconscious to interfere with your personal growth. Your personal makeshift, your personal makeover depends on what's inside of that portfolio, whether it's deep from all the scars and all the pain that you felt throughout your entire life. So a lot of things that you believe you can handle, but you didn't find closure. You haven't moved on from certain pains. You haven't moved on from certain situations because you've learned how to accommodate it, how to keep it existing when it shouldn't even be there. And what I mean by existing is, yes, it's always going to be there, but it doesn't have to breathe near you. It doesn't have to share the same air. The only time that you put something away from you is when you're trying to avoid something that's just not working or is not good for you. You have to learn when something or someone is not good for you. And if you care about this person, you love them from far. I've been in situations, I've been through breakups. I know how that feels. I know how you start blaming yourself, for everything that you've done wrong. I know how you start, you either become angry at the person and attack them even further and push them further, or you push them further by blaming yourself for things that you should have been aware of while it was happening, because I guarantee you that people do not stay quiet long enough for you not to know what's going on. The thing is that communication is very difficult, because when you're in your bag and you're in your feelings, your tone is different, your volume is different, your aggressiveness is different, your poise is different. That's why patience is not just a demonstration of holding back. It is a demonstration of truly honoring your intense level of calmness, your intense level of being neutral. Patience is one of the hardest things to show, because patience has its limits. You could only be patient, but for so much. You cannot continue to be patient about the same thing because it's repetitious. And that we talked about that, the insanity figure. So look at all the subjects that we talked to thus far. If you're paying attention to this series of the P.S. I Love Me show, then you would see that all these things are leading towards something. It is leading to the narrative and the concept of this show, which is to love yourself. You have to love yourself first in order to be successful in a relationship. You have to love yourself first, or at least in the process of doing that, where you meet someone where they say, you complete me. No, I was going to say something crazy. Darn, you know what I'm saying? We talked about the glasses being, some of them half empty, some of them slightly full, some of them more full than others. And then when you meet someone, they fill some of the voids that you have. So you can't meet someone who's just like you, because all you're going to do is get justification for the things that you're already doing wrong. You're going to say, hey, listen, you're doing it too. I'm doing it. Say, hey, I'm not the only one. So we're good with it. Let's just live with it. That's not the way it works. You know, there has to be some type of growth in a partnership, because if there's no growth, then there's no set destination. I got what I got. You got what you got. And, you know, from time to time we come together and we enjoy this. There's too many people in relationships that don't like each other. And again, I'm not talking about a couple. I'm talking about a lot of relationships. Mother, father, sister, brother, aunt, cousins, friends, whatever the case may be. Think about this. When you have an argument, there's some people that they have an argument with their father or they have an argument with their mother, right? And it feels the same way as an argument with their boyfriend or their girlfriend. And it feels the same way as an argument with your girlfriend. Of course, the boyfriend, girlfriend, and spouse is going to feel a little bit more for some, because they put their emotional value into that relationship. They spend more time with this person, so therefore they expect more. And because of the amount of time that they spend and what they share, which they don't share with anyone else. So obviously the expectations, yes, they are a little bit different, but with that comes, again, accountability, responsibility, and obligation to do the best you can. If you're going to be if you're in a relationship that you don't like, then either change it or get out of it. You can love somebody from far. You can love someone from far, and you can keep your distance. You know, and let them think whatever they're going to think. Oh, you don't care about me. Oh, you used to be into me. Now you're not into me anymore. Well, you're doing a great job of pushing me away. You're doing a good job of creating space between us. You're doing a hell of a job looking at a person the way they used to be. Here's another problem. That's why you can't fix a broken relationship, because you never took no time away to gain the inner strength that you need as an individual. You're relying on a person you don't like to help you get by. That's impossible. Because even if they help you get by, at the end of that, you're not going to like them anymore. You're not going to appreciate things anymore. Because we all know that if you give someone more of what they don't appreciate it, they're not going to appreciate it more. They're going to appreciate it less. Because now they're getting it without appreciation. So now it's expected. Now it's part of the norm. You understand? Yes, I appreciate everybody. DJ Extraordinaire, how you doing? Everybody else that's tapped in, let me know you're here so that we can talk. If you got any questions, if you got anything you want to talk about, let me know. Okay, so then here we go. Patience. Patience is not as easy as people think it is. Why? Because they don't practice it. Some people overdo it and they put patience in things that you're not supposed to be patient about. There are things you're not supposed to be patient about that they need an immediate response, or they need a response that's a little bit faster than you holding back. Prudence is one thing, but prudence in a experienced world, prudence, again, meaning taking those few seconds before you speak so that you don't react and you actually can answer it, you know? Think about what I'm saying. You don't want to react, so patience can help you from speaking and from becoming aggressive. Because when you're on the defensive, right away, what are you going to do? When you are on the defensive, the first thing you do is react. And why do you react? Is you feel like you got to defend yourself and you're going to stop it from going any further. Hold up a second. What are you saying? You don't have the patience to let this person finish. Because you don't want to sit there and listen to all the hogwash or all the negativity that you think that this person is. But there are some people that speak negative first and then speak positive later. And there are other people that speak positive first and then speak negative later. So you got to understand that there are differences. And when it comes to yourself, when it comes to your stress, when it comes to your levels of stress, and let me explain something to you guys. Stop ignoring stress. Stress leads to, in the beginning, heart disease, circulatory disease, stress of the organs, mental disease, your skin, your teeth, everything, your eyesight. Stress becomes physical. When stress becomes physical, now it's starting to eat you up alive. So learn how to avoid stress by becoming more patient. It takes less work to be patient in the long run than it does allowing stress to do what it does to you. Listen, there are people that their voice, you irk them. I know that I irk people with my voice. There's people that tell me that they hate my positivity. There are, well, not a lot of people, certain individuals tell me that they hate my positivity, that they can't stand it, that it's overwhelming, that it's too much. And I'm like, I get it. I honestly get it, because too much of anything is too much. But I'm here to tell you that my life is not 100% positive. On paper, there are still issues that linger. I'm getting better at them. There's relationships, though, that I got rid of that are not good for me, because all they do is take and take. There's no reciprocation. So there are some relationships that you got to check them and be like, hey, listen, man, I'm not having that. You know, you keep thinking that you're going to have me available for you whenever you want, but when I need you the most, you're not there for me. You know, there are situations where I wish that I had the company of people that care about me. But I've learned that going further in my life, that there are times that I'm going to have to be alone. So I have no choice but to be the most healthiest person that I could be. I have to work out. I have to eat well. I have to keep going. Why? Not only because of me, but I have kids that are following behind me and grandkids that are following behind them. So not only do I have to set an example, I have to make sure, because my health is compromised somewhat, that I continue to monitor my health, to do what I can to try to defeat these things that are inside of me. And stress makes it worse. If you have a condition already, if you have high blood pressure, if you have heart disease in your family, if you have blood circulation disease, if you have diabetes, again, if you have lungs, cancer, if you have any of these things, you need to stay away from stressful situations. But you got to understand if the situations that you're in is something that you're causing or something that you're walking into. Either way, you have control. Instead of being defensive, be more offensive to yourself. You know what I'm saying? Become more proactive about the things that you are doing. Stop talking. Get it done. Write it down. How many times are we going to talk about the same thing? I'm going to repeat it forever, because sometimes you need someone to repeat things over and over again. You do, because then it gets implanted in your head. So then that throws away the insanity theory, because some people say they won't change. That's not true. Sometimes you can whisper to someone, and that's more effective than screaming at them. Sometimes you can write them a letter. That's more effective than hearing somebody's voice, because people don't like to be told what to do. So then maybe you can write them a letter. Maybe texting sucks, because usually people text so fast, they don't even check. There's a lot of people that don't understand how grammar works, and you got that thing that you press and the word comes out. One word can change the intensity of a message. So communication is important, but understand what communication is. The most important part of communication, for those that think that communication is the most important thing in a relationship, is listening. Listening is the most important part of communication. That takes patience. So you're never going to have communications if you don't have patience. You're never going to have understanding if you don't have patience. You're never going to have awareness if you don't have patience. Because how could you be aware of something if you're always defending yourself and you're not, and everybody's an enemy to you and everything is negative? Everything, you go to a store, hey, look at this guy, look at that guy. We do that all the time. We do the ranks. We spoke about this before. When you see someone, look at this guy, he looks like Papa Swing. That's a joke. Oh, you're being judgmental. No, that's not judgmental. You know what judgmental is? when you talk about something personal. I'm trying to say this person resembles somebody. Oh, he looks like Trump. Oh, he looks like this. Oh, he looks like a clown. I'm not saying that this person has a certain character. I'm not judging his character. I'm not judging the person that he is. I don't even know who this person is, but what I see on the exterior is good enough for me to say, oh my God, he looks like one of the Jackson Fives. Oh, wait a minute, this guy looks like Igor. Or he looks like Count Dracula because he has a split in the middle and he looks like he has fangs. You know, we're not talking about a person's character. Understand that when you judge a person's character and you don't know them, you're the biggest scum of the earth. How dare you judge someone and not know them? I told you before, it's okay to judge. It's okay to be presumptuous. It's okay to have assumptions. It's okay, as long as you understand that if you're wrong, and usually when you're talking air means gas. Gas means smoke. When you're putting smoke, gas, and something in the air, what you're doing is not diluting yourself. You're spreading yourself out with no substance. So guess what that does? You're not getting the full story. You're not allowing yourself to see things. You're not able to see opportunity. You're not able to see things for what they really are. Why? Because you don't have the patience to see things in a different element. You don't have the discipline, you don't have the strength or the perseverance to look at something and say, I've always looked at something like this all my life. I'm not going to change. You want to be stubborn? It takes patience to not be stubborn. Stubborn is not patience. And patience is definitely not procrastination. Unless you're using procrastination as a tool, but they're a little bit separate, because when you're procrastinating, you're hesitating. Patience is not hesitation. Patience is demonstrating it. It's the act of doing something. Patience is the act of doing something. So patience is the ability to take a second, be prudent, but then what you do after the prudence. So when you're prudent and you're taking 2 seconds back and you go, let me let this person speak. So while they're speaking is when you need to exhibit patience. That's when you exhibit patience after, because there's steps to patience. Patience is not right away. Patience is the longevity. Patience has to do with the strategy. Patience has to do with the discipline. It has to do with the realness. Because you could show prudence and you could let somebody speak. Go ahead, you speak. And then a few seconds into it, you're already cutting them off because you don't like what they're saying and you don't like where they're going. Let people go wherever they want to go. I've said this many times before, so they could show you who they really are. You already know. If it takes a second time for you to speak to this person and this person does the same thing, they want to control the conversation. They want to tell you how you feel, how you shouldn't feel, but they don't want to be told what to do. It's an unfair conversation because you're in a conversation with someone who does not understand being fair. And being fair, guess what it takes? Dun, 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 dun! Patience. It takes patience to do a lot of things. It takes patience to do all of the subjects. You know, let's talk about that. Let's share the screen. Let's see how we are. You know, let's go over here. What? Okay, we do this. YouTube. Let's do it. Let's see what happens when we go into YouTube. We'll go into the channel. We'll check out the videos. You know, check out my videos real quick. And what do we got? We're on our 13th show here. We're not, but we've been doing LMC for a while now. This is the 13th show on YouTube, but we're up to like 30 or something like that. Look at the topics that we talked about. Today is patience, accountability, decisions, happy New Year, insanity, it is what it is, balance, stubborn, giving up, force, ambiguity, selfishness, assumptions, and then the beginning pilot show. You cannot have any of those things without patience. But I needed people to understand all those little roles are based on having a relationship. And having a relationship with yourself is the most important thing that you can do. Morales Davila, how you doing? You have to have patience with yourself. Be patient with yourself. You want to be in a rush. Well, you think that you're going to change the world in one day? You think that you're going to change the world or change yourself in one day. No, you have to be able to evaluate the pain, the cuts, the bruises, the damage. You got to look at it and say, you know what? I was damaged because I allowed this to happen. Okay, bang. I was damaged because I was with a person like this. Okay, bang. What did you do to allow something to happen? What did you do to push it in that direction? You got to ask yourself what role you play, but you got to be open and honest. One of my biggest chapters in the Live Above the Norm series is honesty versus dishonesty. Teach yourself what being honest really is. That it's not just lying, stealing, and cheating. It is not keeping things, not saying things that will put you in the mix. You know, like making yourself look innocent while you're just throwing people under the bus. Embellishment, acting like you don't live that life. Exaggeration. Those are all part of dishonesty. To sell something, to get a point. People lie to avoid something or to get what they want. But I've learned that being honest is the best on earth because you get to filter out all the dishonest people. When you're honest, you make people feel very uncomfortable. When you're a straight up person and you're real, you make a lot of people feel uncomfortable. But after they get used to you, they'll come to you. And they'll realize that if they want to have a solid life, if they want to have a progressive life, if they want to grow, they have to hang out with someone that's been through the ropes. They have to hang out with someone that's been through it. Because how in the heck is someone going to resonate or have empathy if they can't walk your shoes? That's more sympathetic than it is empathetic. Empathetic is a little bit deeper. Is understanding it from the point of view, from somebody else's, perspective. And if you can actually get into somebody's life and say, you know what, I feel you, I understand you, I've been there, not exactly the way you're talking about, but up until that point, I felt that pain. I felt the pain of breakup. I felt the pain of being deserted. I felt the pain of just being abandoned. I had separation issues with separation, that I get used to people and I don't want them to leave, even if it's the worst thing on earth for you and you know it deep down in your heart. You just don't want to leave. Have you ever been in a situation where you get mad because they left you before you left them? Well, they already know that you're about to leave them, so they beat you to it to throw you off. That's why they do it. Or, if you're going to leave somebody, how do you prepare to leave someone? You don't prepare to leave someone, because what you're doing is leaving the doors open and you're giving them hints and you allow them to feel that energy. People know when you're about to leave them, whether they want you to leave or not. That is one of the easiest things to detect, is when you're about to be, if you're paying attention. Sometimes it comes as a surprise for certain people where you don't see it. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, like I said, you get shocked, from all the things that's going on, and you might get caught out there. It's the truth. Let me see. I'm just checking something real quick. Try to make this page a little bit bigger if I can. So you understand what I'm trying to tell you? Patience is very important in a relationship. Forgiveness is very important in a relationship. Some things you actually do need to forget. But, little small things, like not making things bigger than what they are. Get out of your bag and stop pointing fingers already. I'll give you an example. I myself have been challenged because when I try to live, like when I did my changes, I lost weight. I became more intelligent. I started processing information better. I was able to have more patience, became a better person, not so loud, not an a-hole, not someone who is always sarcastic or looking for a laugh, like a facetious person, I've become a little bit more humble. I've become less invasive in people's lives. I've become less into other people's life and been more into my own life. Get to a point where I'm ready to be in a new relationship, regardless of if it's with the relationship that I'm in now or a new relationship. I feel that I will do much better this time around because I understand the foundation of it. I understand how it's built. Now if you're in a relationship that still suffers from things that happened in the past, you may not ever escape that. You know what I'm saying? Because it comes with the label of just knowing you. You might need some time in between things in order for people to see the new you. especially if you've been negative and you've been difficult so much in the past that don't expect people to accept your change right away. Some people will never accept your change. Like, especially the longer you take to make a change, the harder it is to convince people. But you can't convince people. You have to convince yourself. But you have to convince yourself with facts and not what you wish it was like. You have to be factual. I'm here. Look at my growth. Now I'm here. Let's go back to, did everything go right? You have to be able to do a checklist and maintain the things that you're doing. You have to be able to watch it grow. It's an investment of time, energy, and everything else that comes with it. Excuse me. You got to understand that there is not one thing when it comes to getting things done, especially in relationships. It's a couple of things. There's a lot of moving parts in a relationship. Don't stay stuck on one thing. Put a little bit into everything. Because if they only see you going in one direction, oh, communication is key, communication is key, communication is key, then you become very open and you become very honest about things and you're very straightforward about things. And guess what? It becomes overwhelming because that's the only thing you're working on. You have to break it up a little bit. You have to talk, be more honest, be more aware of who's talking to you. Salute Luna, how you doing? Be a lot more honest about the things that you not only say, but be honest about what you think about. Catch yourself. You be like, wow, I allowed that thought to just go rampant. I allowed that thought to go into a place where it didn't go. And then laugh at it and catch yourself and be like, wow, if I didn't catch myself, how further would it have been? So then the next thing to do when you're creating this anxiety and you're creating these assumptions and you're creating these expectations, they become false. Anxieties, assumptions, and expectations become false because you're allowing yourself to create a scenario that hasn't happened yet. Can it happen? Yes, it can happen. But now you're dealing with the aftermath of something that hasn't started yet. You should be working on prevention. You should be working on being proactive and stopping it at a certain point. And if you're putting all your energy to the accountability, which is at the end of something, an incident or something that happened, then you're not putting force or effort into the responsibility of it. Remember that responsibility starts before something happens, and accountability is at the end. Being responsible is, you could do that during the process. Accountability usually comes when something happens and you have to fess up to something. The same way that you fess up to something when it's wrong, it's okay to say, hey, but without being cocky or throwing it out there, I know that I played an important role in this, and I'm proud of myself for doing it. It's okay. Pat yourself in the back for the things that you deserve, not the things that are expected on a daily basis. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? Like, let's put things where they belong. I appreciate everybody that's tapping in. Does anybody know in LMC if there is a DJ that's coming after me? I heard that there's a possibility that there will be a DJ after me. If we can confirm whether or not someone will be here or not, that would be fantastic. Otherwise, let's keep it moving. So another thing I wanted to talk about today is the pressure that we put people under. We expect people and we give people ultimatums. When I told you from the beginning, people don't like to be told what to do. So the last thing that somebody wants is to be stuck with or be put against the fence with an ultimatum. Either you're going to do this or you're going to do that. People know what they have to do. You definitely need to stop pressuring people, but you need to just ask them a very simple question. You're like, I want you to know that I've been patiently waiting for you to address these things. These things have bothered me, and they feel very uncomfortable. I would like to move forward. And the reason why certain arguments and certain things linger is because there isn't any closure. Things linger because there isn't any closure. It wouldn't be lingering. It would be a continuation of something that grew. But then again, the word linger is what makes everything feel so negative. When something lingers, it just stays around for too long. I think, what? Let's just look up the word, right? Let's look up the word and see what happens, because that's what we do here, don't we? All right. Linger. I'm pretty sure everybody heard this. Oh, no, we got to do this again. We got to do this again. Let me see. Linger. Linger. And what do we have? Stay in a place longer than necessary because of a reluctance to leave. Spend a long time over something. Be slow to disappear or die. Holy cow. So when something is lingering, it's just there longer than it should. And if that's somebody's favorite record, they're trying to tell you that you have actually been in their life longer than they care to be. And they don't pay attention to you because you don't take it seriously. And you're wasting your time chasing someone who does not care about you, that does not want to be there for you. That all they care about is you being there for them, being available. And you're the one that gets them used to this stuff because you continue to let it linger. And it's the truth. I know this for a fact because I had a lot of separation, issues back in the days. I don't want nobody to leave me. I don't want my friends to leave me. I don't want my family. I don't want to fight with nobody. I don't care. Before I used to fight because it was easier to prove a point, because it was more important for me to prove my point than for us to get along. And sometimes you have to learn how to take a step back and not be the aggressor, because not all wars and all fights, you don't need to win all of these things. It's not worth it sometimes. The ends doesn't justify the means. There's no return on this investment. You just made it more difficult and more complicated for everybody else. So you got to understand these things. Understand the role you play. And not having patience, you're always going to be wrong. Hey, how you doing, Mickey? By not having patience, yes, pick your battles. By not having patience, you're not allowing yourself to see things for what they really are, because you're converting it into another woe is me, another victimization, another way for you to manipulate that your feelings are more important than everybody else's. You're not coexisting with anyone. You're not being fair at all. You believe that your feelings are more important than everybody else's. Guess what? They really are to yourself. But when you're involving other people, your feelings cannot be the center of attention. You cannot continue to manipulate people into feeling sorry and doing that guilt by association, a conspiracy to be on your side when you're not doing well. These people will only call you when they need you. You know how people have conversations about nothing? They just want to hear your voice. Guess what? If people are not calling you, they don't want to hear your voice. If people are not texting you anymore, they don't want to hear what you have to say, what you have to share. They're not interested in you. Stop calling them back. Stop texting them. Find new people in your life. I know it's easier said than done, but wouldn't you want to be in a healthy relationship where somebody actually wants to be with you, where somebody actually appreciates the things that you do for them that nobody else does for them? That they come to you for everything, and the moment that you do one thing wrong or you're not available that one time, it eliminates all the hard work and all the time that you wasted. I mean, that not wasted, you actually put it in there because you care about someone. But it feels wasted. Let me share something with you. If you don't appreciate something or you don't appreciate someone, you're going to lose them. They could physically be there, but they're not there mentally. They're wishing that they had somebody else. I'm telling you this from experience. When you're with someone and they're not there for you at your most important time because they're holding grudges, when someone accuses you of getting them back for something that they feel that they've hurt you in, then all they're going to do is retaliate harder. You could tell them a million times, that's not what I was thinking. That's not what I was doing. These people always try to tell you how you feel. You know why? I'm gonna reveal why people do this. This is something that a lot of people may not know. The reason why people do this is because they know exactly what they're capable of doing. People know exactly what they're capable of doing. When they accuse you of something that you're not doing and you prove it and you explain it, they're only expressing to you that if they can do it, anybody can. So they're actually telling on themselves. If you're paying attention, if they blame you for something that you know you didn't do and you're calm about it and they retaliate to you, then what they're showing you was how they would have reacted if the situation was reversed. Learn from these experiences, Learn from these things. Pay attention to it. But if you're an angry person, if you're a person that is always in their bag, those old people like that I fall, that stinks, oh, that's no good, I can't be around people like that. It's even worse when a person is older, when they're an old hag or where they're mad. Of course we don't understand what they've been through. Of course, they probably don't love their life. Of course, they're not happy with the way their life turns out. I don't know if they're always like that. I don't know if they just became that way. I don't know if just life wasn't as tasty or as sweet as they thought it would be. Maybe they're very resentful for the fact that it took them a long time for them to grow up. I took a long time to grow up. I didn't start growing up until I was about 44, 45, 46. In the process, I destroyed a lot of relationships. I hurt a lot of people. I apologized. I tried for people to forgive me. Some people would not forgive me for the person that I was. But I always say that you are not going to be able to enjoy the person that I am now if you keep focused on the person that I was before. That person no longer exists. That's why I'm actually changing my number, because a phone number might trigger the old situation. Even a phone number, believe it or not, areas of your phone number, may influence someone. I'm going to change my phone number. I've changed my look. I've changed my intelligence level. I've changed my perception. I've changed my humbleness. I've worked on so many different things that I am now ready to give my all to everyone that's with me. Now that I'm able to determine, hey, this person is not good for me. Hey, this person I don't see you in my future. Why? Because I'm not in yours. There's no way that we could have a mutual future if I'm not in your future and you're in mine. The gods will not allow you guys to go forwards. The spirit, the energy, especially a person like me that's all about energy and all about spiritualism. I can't go any further with people that don't want to grow and don't want to talk about the future, because they are stuck in the past and they're stuck in the now. Ask yourself if you miss now. Ask yourself if you missed the right now. If you miss this right now or you missed the right now. Ask yourself. Ask your partner. Ask your spouse. Hey, listen, man. Do you really see us? It's okay. It's not doubt. Don't ask it in a doubt way. Ask it in a way, hey, it's unbelievable, how much time we've been together. Do you really think that we'll be together at the end of this? Do you really think that? Ask them. You might be reigniting something that needs some flame. Ask them. It's okay to ask them, because then you're stuck in a situation that you may not know it's dying out. Things die out. Nothing lasts forever. When you love someone, you can't turn off the switch. You can't go from loving someone to not loving them. You could fall out of love with someone, but you can't stop loving someone. You will continue to care for them. You will continue to have empathy for them. You will continue to find ways to protect them in a scenario, even if you're in that scenario or not. So do yourself the favor. A relationship is an investment, and a relationship is an investment of time, an investment of energy, an investment of money, finances, an investment of strength, discipline, education, an investment of growth. It is being in a good relationship, and I'm not referring to just one type of relationship like a spouse. I'm talking about any relationship whatsoever. Being in a relationship, a good relationship, is one of the best things that you could be in. And you don't need a lot of people. But if you're not getting enough from one person, you better be sure that person is gonna start getting that from somewhere else. So then again, if you're dealing with someone that has a lot of needs, you need to know this ahead of time. If you're dealing with a needy person, you have to be available for them 100% of the time. A needy person needs a lot of attention. They have a lot of problems. They escalate things. They make things stronger than what they are. They exaggerate. They have anxiety. They have anxiousness. They have a multitude of high expectations. These are the type of people that want to date Prince Charming, but they want to act like a little kid. They want to act immature, you know? And if you give them and you continue to give them what they want and what they need, and you neglect your needs and wants in the process, you become the victim of supersized manipulation and control. And they're not going to want to release that. You cannot give someone tuna fish in a can after you give them salmon. It's not the same. You know, you can't give someone a fish stick after eating caviar. And you can't give someone fake meat after you gave them meat. You know what I'm saying? It's like you just can't do it. It's like once you taste something and you know what it tastes like, you know what it feels like, it's a downgrade to you. Even though you don't realize that you are downgrading the person and you're using that person. You know what I'm saying? You don't call them, you don't text them, you don't text her, you don't call her unless you need it. You don't have just regular conversation anymore. No matter how right you do for a person or for the circumstance of the situation is wrong. Yes, because they want you to feel bad because they've realized how much you change. Like when you're like, oh, I don't want to be wrong. Let me cater this. No, I'm not wrong. Here's a flower. No, I'm not wrong. I'll take you out. No, I'm not wrong. I'll buy you something. No, I'm not wrong. Here's some chocolate. No, I'm not wrong. I'll clean the house. You're rewarding people for treating you like crap. You're rewarding people for identifying something with you that you didn't do. Now, it's funny. You got to understand. Remember, the past plays an important role. If you were a person that lied a lot, it's going to take a little bit longer for people to believe that you're honest. If you're a person that stole a lot, you're not going to get trusted. If you are a person that are not honest, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, they want to buy champagne with beer money. Yes, you want to be treated like a wifey, but you acting like a thot. You want to be on a wife salary. I don't know where the phone is. I have to stop it. There it goes. That's okay. People want to be on a king or a queen salary, but they want to do the work of a lazy person. You know, they want to be treated like the best thing on earth without having to do anything for it because you've already given them, because all they do is continue. And whenever you start pulling away and whenever you stop giving them these things, they'll invent something new so that you could feel bad and then you could treat them again. So then that's the pattern. They start throwing things and blaming you and accusing you of things that are not true so that you can not defend yourself. You know, you can start becoming that giving person again because you don't want problems. Like me, for instance, I appreciate peace. Some of the most important things to me is peace, you know? And I can't continue to tamper with my peace by allowing people to disturb my peace with things that are not even real. You know how a baby starts crying, right away you pick them up. You get them used to you picking them up when they start crying. So if they want you to pick them up, what do they start doing? Dun, 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 dun. Yes, absolutely. DJ Lou, how you doing? I was waiting for you. That's okay. We'll catch up a little bit later. And everybody else that's in here, God bless and thank you for being here. We're going to keep going a little bit because nobody's telling me if there's another DJ coming after me or, you know, whatever the case may be. You know, people are born like that. What, in a bad mood? Nobody is born in a bad mood. People wake up crying whether the doctor smacks them in the butt or not. The first thing they do is cry. They're coming into this world of I don't know. That's why they're crying, because honestly, they're scared already. The kids come out scared, and we have to teach them how not to be scared and how not to fear change. You know, the first word that a kid says is no. It's not mama or papa. Everybody keeps thinking mama, papa. It's not. They're just saying consonants. They're saying sounds, goo goo gaga, same thing. The first word they learn is no, because that's the word that we keep telling them. No, 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 no. I'm telling you, listen to what I'm telling you and put it in practice. Go to a baby and go like this. Yes. And see what they say. They're like,
What are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Now, if you go to them and go, no, they go like this. No, 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 no. Right? Come on. It works. We're at a certain age in our life where we have to take responsibility for going forward before it happens. We got to stop waiting for things to happen so then we can just rectify the situation. I'm not saying to cause problems, but if you preamp this thing and you preamplify it, like if you presume smartly that in life things are going to happen. So when things happen, you're not shocked. Oh my God, that blew me out of the water. I'll give you an example. If somebody was healthy and did everything right and was a good person and they ate well and they went to the gym and then they died of a heart attack, that makes people feel crazy, because here you are saying, man, he took care of himself, she took care of herself, they took care of themselves, they went to the gym, they ate well, never stressed, always happy, a go-getter, and then dropped dead. It can happen to anyone. It doesn't happen a lot, but that right there is a good reason for you to be like shocked. Why? Because nobody expected a person that looked healthy on the outside and showed people that they were doing things to keep that on the inside. But we don't know what the contributing factors was to this. We don't know what shut down in their body. We don't know what stresses they went through. We don't know if they're hiding it. We don't know if that smile is fake. We don't know anything about this person. If you're with a person that judges people's character, you should stay away from those people, because those people do not know the people that they're judging. I do not judge people. I do not stereotype people. I am a good judge of character based on what they're doing and what they're saying, not what they look like, because what they look like could represent something totally different. That does not tell the whole story. Does it tell part of the story? Yes. But it's not enough for you to make a definitive statement, judgment about a person just based on what they're wearing. Like, for instance, right now, somebody will see me for the first time. They see me. Hey, man, look, you got the Omega thing up here. You got the Omega thing here. Man, this guy got it together, man. He must sell a lot of stuff. You know, this guy, you know, he matches. He's blending into the couch, you know, whatever the case may be. This is a black and white room. Yes, this is done on purpose. But I'm not doing this as a marketing scheme to stimulate people, you know, with colors. I'm not doing any of that. I'm here talking about things that are relative to our everyday life, our comments. So we could take full advantage of looking at things from a different perspective. For what? To eliminate the stress. This is how you love yourself. You eliminate the stress. How do you eliminate stress? By understanding things, by educating yourself on these topics, you know? How do you remove fear? By taking a chance. You know what it is? You know why people don't take chances? Because all they think about is the risk. But they don't think about what can happen if they actually make a move. All they're thinking about what could go wrong. Stay the hell away from these people. People like that are never going to be positive, because the only thing they think about is negativity. Oh, what about this? Did you consider that? When they talk to you like this, they are pouring their indecisiveness on you. They are pouring their negative wisdom, if you want to call it. They think they're wise because they're telling you to think about things that you're supposed to think about. But they don't give you anything positive. All they list is all the negative things that come, or the potential things. You know what that is? That's anxiety. And they're flooding you. This is why they don't move. This is why they don't progress. Because they're continuously focusing on the things that could go wrong. We already know that. You're boring. Negative people of the world, listen to me. You're boring. You do the same thing over and over, and it gets you in the same place. The word insanity, according to Einstein, is for people like you. Einstein's version of insanity only applies to negative people. All right? For people who continue to think that talking and feeling negative, it's positive, and all you're doing is bringing people down. Misery needs company. Find a hobby. Your hobby cannot be bringing people into your abyss, into your quicksand, into your your black hole. You know what, negative people? You are very boring. All right? And not only are you boring, you tend to feel good. The only way you feel good is if you could make somebody else feel like you. Guess what, negative people? We're onto you. And we're not going to let you continue to thrive with people like us that care and want to make a difference. We are fully aware of your kind. And I'm here to blast you. I'm here to put you on notice. That if I find negative people, that if I see negative people, I will record you. I will make you famous by being a negative person. If you are a racist, if you are a person that just cannot support, if you're a person that is continuously look like you smell something out of your own butt, because these are the type of people that don't look at themselves. They are reflecting and projecting what they feel because they feel as though this would be a more balanced world if people understood them. We understand you. We know what pain is. We know what sorrow is. We know what it is to be in the covers, stressed out. We know what it is to give up and say enough is enough. We know it already. We've been around that. We're trying to get away from you. And we're trying to teach you how to get away from yourself because that is not the right person to be. You end up walking funny. You end up standing funny. You end up looking funny because the negativity so much negativity has come out of you that you look, if negative had a face and negative had a body structure or if negative had a pose, it's you. It's you. You, Mr. Negative, Mrs. Negative, stop it. We're changing the world. We don't want to deal with you anymore. You know why? Because you're not even challenging anymore. You don't even change the way you do things. You don't even find new ways to be manipulative. You do the same thing over and over. If you come from the hood and you leave the hood, right? And you come back a couple of years later, there is 100% chance that somebody that you knew will still be doing the same thing 2, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20 years later. And they will die. Why? Because that's what makes them happy. That's what makes them content. Some people think that they feel good getting a laugh out of disrespecting someone. I will only make a joke if I feel that everybody's going to be laughing. Even the person that I'm talking about. If you joke about me and you say something and it's funny and it's creative, I'm going to laugh with you. I'm going to be like, that's a good one. Learn how to loosen up. Somebody says a joke about you. You're like, yo, bro, you don't know me. I'm ready to punch you in your face. I'm ready to fight. You don't know me. Why are you talking about me? I'm like, listen, man, I'm just trying to lighten the air because you look like you smell something that came out of a combination of 3 people's butts. You understand what I'm saying? You look like you smell something that died. You feel like you smelled something that died. The aura around you is so spectacularly dead. Check that out. Spectacularly dead. That your presence makes an eerie noise. You could be there quiet and people look at you like, there's something wrong with this person. You see how it is? Stop being negative because you're going to get a reputation of being negative. You're going to be, you're going to have a reputation of being a negative person. And guess what? They're not going to invite you to places anymore. They don't want you to be there because they want to invite a person like me. They want to invite a person that's lively, that can go and have fun and have a drink and dance and say, hey, this party's there. What's up? You know what I'm saying? They don't want you. And if you're in a relationship and you are a negative person and you're in a relationship with a positive person, everybody's going to hate you. Everybody's going to dislike you because they're going to say, man, what the heck does this person see in this person? Don't be judgmental. They could be working on their problems. They could be going to another place. But you understand that you kill people with kindness. And when you go out somewhere with your mate or whatever person that you're going with, you are a representation of them. So please, take that face of, you don't believe nobody. Everybody that talks is full of it. Nobody says anything creative. You're mad because you weren't the one that created it. If you're that type of person, stay home. We don't want you out here in society. We don't want negative people in society. On the other hand, I am a firm advocate, and I invite negativity to me because I know how to handle it. I'm talking about everybody else. There are people in this world that still don't know how to handle negativity. You want to be negative? Oh, I encourage you to do it to me, but I don't need you to exist for everybody else. There are people that are growing that are not at the level where I'm at. I'm grown. I am a grown man. I am mature. I am responsible. I am accountable. I am apologetic. I am empathetic. I am humble. I don't talk about myself like I'm on a pedestal. No, I'm proud of myself, and I teach people how to do this. That's the difference between a show-off and someone that shares. A person that shows off will just show you what they have and talk about what they've done. A person that shares will show you that you need education, that you need to look into mental health, that you need to look into physical health, that you should eat apples because it has fiber. You know what I'm saying? An apple a day keeps the doctor away. You should, if you're worried about bloating, then eat some pineapple and cucumbers. Put some lemon in water. Get some key lime pie. Put it in coffee. You know what I'm saying? Shake it up and let's get this party started already, man. Enough is enough. I say the same things over and over, and people get used to what I say. But some people have not made the charge to go forward. What are you waiting for? The summer's coming. Don't you want to have your beach bar? I don't want to go to work. I don't want to go to work. You know what I'm saying? Think about this, man. Put the right effort where it belongs and stop putting effort in things that are not going to get you anywhere. You already know this. Stop making believe that you don't know what's going on. That's number one. Say to yourself, man, I know what's going on, and I'm tired of making believe, and I'm tired of playing it off because I'm worried about the other person and I don't want to hurt the other person. I always tell people all the time, if you want to hurt me, don't threaten me with a good time. Come right ahead and hurt me. I dare you to come and hurt me. I dare you to come and try to charge me up. I dare you to try and get me out of my element so that I can laugh at you and I can say, you're very little compared to what I have. And you'll say whatever you want to get me off my rocker. But I'm already the first one to tell you. I told you that I did the Eminem style. You remember that? I told you a long time ago. I revealed what I was a long time ago. There's nothing left that you could say new about me. I was a bully. Yeah, I was a bully. The bully became the bully. I was a liar. I stole. I sold drugs. I hung out in the corner. I was an alcoholic. I was a verbal abusador. I was a verbal abuser. I was a man in control. That was many years ago. But I decided not to be that person because I hated myself so much that I started looking for excuses to justify my actions. I blamed everybody else. Oh, I'm like that because of you. I wouldn't have did that if, remember that old thing that people say, man, why is that person staring at me? You wouldn't know if you wasn't looking at them. Mind your business. Oh, that person's looking at me. And you might even look at them and keep looking at them until you catch their actual attention. And then you say, but what you looking at? They might not be looking at you. They might be looking through you. You understand what I'm saying? They might not be looking at you. They might be looking through you. You're not even there, but you make yourself available to someone that didn't even consider you a factor. But now, because you feel a certain way, because you're worried about what everybody else is thinking about you, because you're more interested in likes than love, because if you was interested in love, you know that nobody on that train, nobody on that bus, nobody in whatever area that you're in loves you or has the potential to love you because you don't love them and you don't want them. You go into, let's say, an appointment. You have an appointment, you're sitting among a lot of people. You have to, back in the days, welfare, face to face. You think I don't know? Of course I know. You're sitting there and you have a whole bunch of people. Everybody's judging everybody, And then you have people that are like, why are you judging people? Because you feel that you don't belong there. You're embarrassed to be there to get these services. Because there are people that are worse than you, and here you are not doing what you have to do for yourself, and you rather go get food stamps than actually hustle or find another way to put money or to put food on your table. But that's another story. You understand? Those are excuse makers. You understand? What are we going to do? What are we going to continue to do? Are we going to continue to give the sword to negative people, to lazy people, to people that just don't care, don't have a sense of urgency. You're going to continue to let people dictate what you're supposed to feel like. Didn't we talk about getting up in the morning and already knowing from the night before what you're doing so that when you get up, you have direction? You get up in the morning and you ask yourself, how am I going to feel today? You deserve to feel like crap because you're leaving your feelings up to chance. Take control of the things that you can control, and the things that are left to chance and hope, then go ahead and hope yourself away. I don't hope for anything unless it's medical related. I don't hope for nothing. I don't want nothing from nobody except the basics. I want to be loved. I want to work with people. I want to help people grow. I want to help people get a consensus. I want people to become more responsible. I want people to be more mature. Is that going to work for everybody? No. But at least the people that I know that are in my circle, they know what I want. Some of them, most of them, give me what I want. All my friends are doing really well. They have good jobs. They have good careers. Some are entrepreneurs. They all have homes. They all have bank accounts, you know. They all have vehicles, you know. Nobody judged them based on those things. But society today judges people based on how much money they make and their possessions. Me personally, the most important thing in my life is my relationships, you know. Now, you also have health and you also have time management that gotta be, if not more, but equally important. You know what I'm saying? That's the order that I actually do it in. Health is the most important thing to me. My personal health is more important than anything or anyone, because I can't be a father. I can't be a mother. I can't be a brother. I can't be a sister, an uncle, a cousin, a friend. I can't be a boss. I can't be an entrepreneur. I can't be, you know, a supervisor, a leader, a CEO of my company. I can't be anything. But without patience to understand this, without forcing yourself, because remember that when you have a full sense of urgency, you're a person that likes to move fast in all directions. It's like a chicken with no head. You have no direction. Just because you're moving around and you're creating a lot of dust and papers pick up, that doesn't mean you're doing anything constructive. You know, people say, at least I'm moving. Okay, you're moving with no direction, with no strategy. You might as well sit down and stay in the thinking stage, because what you're doing is making it worse and making believe that you're doing something that you're not. All you're doing is playing it off. You understand what I'm saying? So understand what I'm trying to tell you. That there's the balance, the patience. Patience helps you with balance, because then you have the patience to see what balances out, what works. You have to understand things whether you like it or not. You're not going to get along with everybody in this world, so you avoid people that you don't get along with. You're going to have a hard life, because not everybody floats your boat, man. You know, if you're still going to school, you're going to meet teachers you don't like. Why? Because you don't like the way he does things, because he does something different that you're not used to. Learn how to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, you know. Please put the time and effort into patience. Understand that, yes, communication is important in a relationship. Yes, trust is important in a relationship. Yes, forgiving is important in a relationship. Yes, understanding. Yes, honesty. All those things are important. But if you don't develop the patience to grow into these things, it will never happen. If you don't have the patience to not get so deep into a relationship until you find closure, if you already met someone that's good, you need to hurry up, man. You need to hurry up and not get it done, but you got to hurry up and start the process. You know, stop making believe that there's nothing wrong with you. Everything is perfect. Everything is all smiles and hugs. And then when the chips get a little bit difficult, when the times get difficult between you, that's when the other personality comes out. You'll be like, oh, well, you know, I don't know. I don't really deal with that. I'm not good at dealing with that. Oh, well, you know, I assume that you were good at dealing with this because you're such a humble and a nice person that I didn't expect you to have any of these things. You know what I'm saying? Usually people have problems, you know, when they display them. But there's a lot of times that people have problems that they don't know that they have, or they do know that they have, but they're hiding it. And again, I always talk about flushing the toilet, you know, flushing the mental toilet, flushing the spiritual toilet, flushing the physical toilet. I always talk about how too much of anything becomes overwhelming and you have to be able to balance it out. Does that mean that good people should be bad once in a while? No, it just means that good people should mind their business sometimes. Sometimes they need to be quiet. Sometimes they need to observe instead of being given. Sometimes you have to take a step back to see it from a different perspective. Sometimes it's okay to do nothing, okay? Because you just don't know what to do. But just be honest about it. Positive people are aggressive people. People like me, we're not afraid of anything. I'm not afraid of nothing. I'm not afraid of anyone or anything, or any entity, or aliens, or any animal. You know, I'm not afraid of anybody. I'm not afraid of anything. I look at everything as challenging. I don't look at anything as detrimental. I don't look at things as impossible, you know, unless it is impossible. You know, I look at things and I put everything in ranges. We talked about this before. Impossible means it's never going to happen. You know, definitely means it's for a fact it's going to happen. Probable means that most likely will happen. Possible means maybe it could or it can't. You know? So is it unlikely? That means that chances are that it might not happen. Most of the times it won't. That's what unlikely is. It's all a matter of percentages of how many times things actually occur. You know, learn how to put things in levels so that you're not always overdoing it. Learn how to put things in level so you're not underdoing it. You have to put a certain amount of force into it, and then you have to make sure you're not putting too much into it because you're going to blow it. Practice this. You will never be perfect, but you could get as close as possible to it by practicing. We're not looking for perfection here. We're looking for advancement. We're looking for growth. We're looking for understanding. We want to live in a world where we can share it and not have to look behind our backs because we don't know who our friends are. We want to live in a world where I can trust you and tell you things and you're not going to be quick to react and judge me and throw me under the bus and tell everybody my business when I'm coming to you in confidence. You know, we want to live in a place where we could trust people, where I could be emotional with you and you don't judge me because, you know, there's a stigma of men not being able to express themselves because women look at them like if they're weak, you know, like how are you going to protect me when you sound like a little kid right now? Like I'm expressing myself because I'm overwhelmed with emotion and you want me to sit there and listen to you, you know what I'm saying? And be your psychiatrist and be the carpenter and be the judge and jury and be the chauffeur and be the cook and be the fitness guy and be the father, the sister, the brother, the uncle, and be all these roles, but you can't be emotionally supportive. I'm not saying everybody, but in my case, I've realized that half of the things that I talk to you about is because of things that I've done or currently going through right now. No, there's no shame in my game. I'm going through a lot of difficulties in my life right now. They don't have to be this way. A lot of it is related to the past. It would be nice if I could just say, click, hey, guess what? The past is over. No, because it's affecting other people in different ways. So I have to be patient in order to see if it's going to lead somewhere. If by being patient, I'm being supportive. By being patient, I'm giving it time for it to heal if necessary, the old wounds, you know. But at the same time, there are two things that you need to remember when it comes to separation or being with someone. And I said this before and I'm going to repeat this, okay? When you give someone space, either you are more fond of them with their absence, in other words, you miss them, or because of their absence, it creates more distance. Out of sight, out of mind. If you're in a relationship that if you forget about this person and this person is not in your mind when you're not with them, maybe you don't give people enough time. Maybe you're together so much that people become used to it. There are some times where you have to give each other space so that they can appreciate you because you're there all the time. Your availability is there. Now, physically, you may not be able to do something, especially in the last 2 years, which determined a lot about who were the strongest in a relationship and who were the weakest. Oh, I found out a lot about weakness and about mental toughness, you know. And what I realized is that, again, not everybody has the same perspective as you do. You expect your mate or your partner to have the same perspective, but deep down, they have their own agendas. They have their own ways of looking at things. And just the same way you change, while you're changing, they're changing too. Because if they can't keep up with you, you understand what I'm saying? They're going to run from you. And they're going to make it seem like the reason why things fell apart is because you don't know each other anymore, or they try to keep you there as that person that you used to be. So pressure, when we put pressure, you got to understand that when you put pressure on someone, you have to understand whether you're putting them on the spot. Because when you put somebody on the spot, they act differently. Some people, when you put them on the spot, they are very defensive. Like they can't handle like on the spot transactions. Some people were actually meant to are good at it. Like, I'm good under pressure, and I'm also good taking my time. So at certain points, I prefer it to be under pressure because I've been under pressure all my life, that I know now how to work with it and understand it. Like, I like pressure. I like a little bit of stress. I like a little bit of difficulty level. I like to finish. So I like to start, maintain, and finish tasks that are challenging. You know, I really do. I encourage people that if you want to be negative, come on, I got you. I bet you that when you finish with me, you're either going to love me or you're going to hate me more. I'll tell you that much. You're either going to hate positive people to a point where you're like, oh, forget it. I'm not even coming outside. That's great, because we don't need you to be out here. We don't need you. If you're not interested in your mental health, you're not interested in growth, then go ahead by all means and be like everybody else. You'll never get to the level of the next level, which is living above the norm. You know, when we're done with this grow channel and we start pushing it and promoting it because I have enough content, we'll be concentrating a little bit more on living above the norm. You will never be able to live above the norm or the common until you understand how to love yourself first. You will never, and this is what being in a real relationship is. When you're in a real, meaningful, trusting, loving, caring, nurturing, and I'm not talking about abusive, where your feelings and your needs have to be taken care of 24 hours a day. Please go make a lot of money and hire these people to do things for you. Because if you're doing this to an individual and you're making them massage you and scratch you and feed you, and they're doing all these things and you're not doing any of these things to them, and you think that sex, because you're giving them sex, that is the equivalence to everything that they do for you, guess what? You are the easiest person to replace than anyone else. Because a woman can replace a man that's only giving him that, and a man can replace a woman that's only giving him that. If that's the only thing that you are given, if that's the only thing that they notice, guess what's going to happen to you if somebody else offers them that? You're not giving them anything else. So what do they have to lose? They rather have two sexual partners than to have one if your original sexual partner is not there for them. If the original sexual partner is not there for them, it's not sympathetic, it's not supportive, it's not doesn't want to grow, doesn't want to show something different, that doesn't keep it fresh. You know, if you go out with your friends and your family and you dress fabulous, and when it's time for you to go out with your mate and you dress like a bum, then what are you doing? I get that there's a comfort level that comes with this. But if you're not keeping it fresh, if you're not keeping it spicy, what you're doing is you're settling and you're allowing people to be used to you. They will not appreciate you. Switch it up a little bit. Stop being boring. Because being upset and being angry and being that negative person is boring. It is not exciting. Some people find it exciting because they're like, oh, you're just like me. I have a lot of hate. You know what I'm saying? So let's take everybody that hates, that has hatred, that cannot, a woman that can't see another woman succeed, a man that cannot see another man succeed. You know, you can't be supportive to nobody, not even your own kind, not even your own gender, to any human. You know, like you are better with strangers than you are with the people that care about you. You put so much effort into people that you don't even know. You put effort into things that you don't even know. You're arguing over the news. You're arguing over the presidency. You have nothing to do with that. Regardless if you vote or not. You are just a tiny speck in something that you shouldn't be in. So if you're constantly talking about the news and your opinion about this, if you're constantly talking about this, but you're not willing to make any changes, and you're not involved with a forum, and you're not involved with lobbying for something, shut up. You stop talking about everything that you see and putting your opinion. Do you have to have an opinion about everything? And guess what? If you have an opinion about everything and your opinion is always negative, then you suck. You suck. Seriously. Everybody deserves to be on this earth. But not everybody deserves to hear your negativity. Constant bickering, constant ego trip, constant putting yourself up on a pedestal when you haven't done nothing for yourself. You act like you deserve so much, yet you've done nothing to deserve it. You probably have somebody that treats you good, treats you right, is willing to go to any length on earth to make you happy. But the moment that they feel a certain type of way and they try to express it to you, what do? You invalidate them. And then you punish them for not agreeing with you. You punish them because they didn't give you that one thing that made the big difference. You want to break up with them. You want to chastise them. You want to call them names. You want to talk about their childhood. You want to talk about their parents. You are no good. You are not a good person. Stop making believe that you are a realistic person. You are a negative, envious, jealous, full of hatred, negative person. And you do not deserve to have conversations except with people that are just like you and don't want to get out of that negative rut. So, that being said, we are in the conclusion of this show. I could talk about this a little bit more. Remember, the focus of this segment today was not about relationships, but relationships plays, the things that go into a relationship are very important. Patience, awareness, and all these things, communication, again, honesty, trust are all components of what makes a relationship work. So don't get stuck on one thing. Work on a couple of different things. It's better to work on a couple of things slowly than to work one thing at a time. In this case, because you become too much of that, and that becomes the focal point of a relationship. And a relationship shouldn't have a focal point unless it's going to be something like respect, trust, honor, loyalty, And these are the things that we want in a relationship. So going forward, for all those that hear what I'm saying, for all those that support me, for all those that know me, for those that don't know me, getting to know me, and all of the above, I am now 100% ready to give my all to a relationship. Any relationship that comes my direction, any relationship that I have now, and my future relationships, whoever those people are. I meet a lot of people business-wise every day. I love to be intrigued by new things, new languages, new cultures, new foods, new places to go. I don't have a bucket list. Bucket list is later. I have a to-do list. I have an adventure list. I have a list of things that I want to be a part of. I want to see and I want to feel. And if I don't have the right people around me to do these things, then they won't be around me anymore. If they don't want to join for, I won't get upset if they don't want to join me on all these adventures, because these are my adventures. I'm not going to get mad, but at the same time, these things are important to me. You want me to be there doing things that I may not be like or accustomed to, reciprocate and do the same thing back. That's all I say. So all people that I haven't met yet, I can't wait to meet you. For the people that are not in my life yet, I can't wait to meet you. For the people that are in my life, I'm excited that we're going to be taking this new leap, this new turn. I told you in the beginning of the year that this is the best year that I ever had in my life, and I'm going to keep it that way. Because I'd rather you try to knock me down than to stop me from getting somewhere. I'm already there. Come and knock me off. Come and try. I've had the best. Try to knock me off. It's not going to happen. Usually it's the closest people to you that try to knock you off your horse. As long as it's not a high horse of a Napoleon thing going on, you're in good shape. So without further ado, bless you all. This is the PS I Love Me show with your host Olmiga. This is LMC Radio sponsoring, where loyalty means everything. And of course, Olmiga Enterprises, where we concentrate on the facts, positive energy, and original artistry. You know what I'm saying? So again, let's do this. Catch me on Facebook later. Have a nice one. Take care, everybody.